Hey everyone, this is York Cine Radio. I'm your host, Tom Seymour.
And I'm your other host, Ken Powell.
And this is the ravishing Rick Rude.
Yeah, Mr. Dave Leute. Dave's got an awesome treat for us a little later involving female wrestling. He's not actually female wrestling here, but
I am a
it's
female
going to be.
wrestler.
Oh, yes. You'd make a horrible female wrestler.
Fuck you, man. You're an excellent one.
You the bearded wrestler?
Yeah.
The bearded wrestler. So I guess maybe let's just jump right into it. Why not? Let's get to some movie talk.
Yeah.
I saw this movie called The Heckler, and I clicked on it because there was a bunch of little thumbnails of famous stand-up comedians, and I was like, oh, this is going to be about how stand-up comedians deal with hecklers. So I was like, oh, okay, that should be interesting. You know, I figured they'd show like some of the more famous ones, like when George Carlin got heckled, and Richard Pryor.
Michael Richards, I guess that was probably really...
Michael Richards.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a brief reference to that, but most of the famous heckling situations were not shown in this documentary. It was a documentary mostly about Jamie Kennedy.
That's a strange choice of a person to focus on.
Yeah.
Was he a producer?
It was his pet project. Yeah, I mean, so it was. It started out really interesting. It basically they showed a few people getting heckled. They had people like Louis Anderson and David Tell talk about some of the instances they've been heckled and how they dealt with it. So it was really fascinating. Then they basically go into this. There's a huge majority of the film is about film criticism, and equating film criticism to heckling because of the blogosphere and the internet and all these things. And they brought up a bunch of really good points. Like as a filmmaker, I've gotten some really mean reviews, very personally mean reviews, some with incorrect information, and so you take it personally. But
I apologize for those.
Yeah, it's all right, Dave. I mean, it happens sometimes. But the doc was so lopsided. It almost, except for at the very, very end, they dedicate maybe about a minute to the validity of criticism. But they basically was like a blanket statement that all film criticism is like bullshit. You know what I mean? In that, any valid film criticism was like 50 years ago or something. And it just throws every like contemporary, like large contemporary website under the bus. Like Ain't It Cool throws them under the bus, throws Chud.com under the bus. You have not Gene Shalit. I forget the guy's name. It's not Roper either. But you had this one guy, one of these TV film critics, totally trying to eviscerate Chud.com because a Hollywood film used their tagline. And it was like this sort of like jealousy, like, oh, that's not legitimate press, So part of me was like, fuck you,
I mean, it seems like the movie's a little bit... I mean, I wouldn't never equate heckling to a comedian versus to a film criticism. Because when I think of heckling, it's usually people that are... I mean, they don't like either what the comedian's doing, or there's a lot of them that like to try to hijack the show themselves. Like, I'm funny in front of my friends. Look at me. I said this stupid thing, and people are laughing. But film criticism, I don't know.
You stink.
Thanks. Is that I literally stink, or?
Boo. I'm heckling you now. Did you get that?
Yeah.
I got it.
You're not serious, Dave.
No, but it's. I agree with you 100%. It's more personal when you do it that way.
But yeah, and it's while the performance is going on too, versus like in the cinema, it's not the same thing. It's not like the actors are there and they're personally hearing people like actually shout it from their mouths, like, "You fucking suck. This is garbage. I'd rather be jerking off."
Yeah, well, it's really strange because like in the doc they're not talking about people posting nasty shit on YouTube or message rooms. They're equating film criticism to heckling. which it's like a false equivalent. It's like totally separate thing,
So
you know.
a good review is a laugh? Is that the same?
Yeah, well, that's the other thing too, is that online film criticism is also responsible for pushing films up through the ranks, you know.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
so it's a strange thing, you know. So yeah, I mean the film focuses mostly on Jamie Kennedy and like how his Son of the Mask film was sort of eviscerated through critically, and
Now I understand.
and
Yeah,
and Malibu's Most Wanted and all this stuff, and
So he's done some shit movies that's gotten panned, and now he's like, this is my way to defend these crap movies.
yeah.
Making this documentary.
And the funny thing is, it's like, how do you not, watching this documentary, going, well, this is the kind of film that's it's not there's no there could have been some real in-depth dialogue between critics and filmmakers in a sort of responsible way where there's actually give and take, and there you actually maybe arrive at some new ideas, or there's some common ground. But instead what you have is like Jamie Kennedy like making more fun of the critics. He'll actually interview the critics, and they're both like wasted, and he'll just talk with them. And then they showed Uwe Boll, who's I know because Uwe Boll actually distributed Bikini Bloodbath Car Wash in Germany, so I at least have corresponded with him. But he did challenge film critics from Ain't It Cool and a bunch of others to a boxing match, and he beat the shit out of them. And he said something like, "Oh, tell me my movies stink now," and it's like,
Jamie Kennedy did?
no, Uwe Boll,
okay.
but this was in that
I
documentary,
get you.
and you have to go, well, no, I mean, Uwe Boll's films are, Uwe Boll knows his films aren't good.
I hope he does.
I think he's a great director. He just makes films, bad B movies, which I love. It's fine,
Yeah. I don't know. I can really understand like Jamie Kennedy. This is sort of a way to make up for his movies being bad. But the way I look at it is, when you release a movie through a distribution company, you've created a product. Your product is now subject to being scrutinized, reviewed. It's just like if the new iMac or whatever comes out, tons of companies or websites are gonna write the reviews, let the consumer know, should you waste your money on this product or should you not? And that's what sort of film critics serve, I think, for the most part, is like to let the public know, save your money or buy this movie and go see it as many times as you possibly can.
They in the documentary they also try to Jamie Kennedy seems like he's on the brink, like super depressed, almost suicidal. And he brings out an example of one filmmaker who got a really bad review and then couldn't make a film after that. And the thing is, like, they're anecdotal, and it's not definitively shown or proven. You got a bad review, so you never direct it again. I actually have a specific example of how I put a film out, send it to a few select reviewers, and the first reviewer gave it a C. It was this Ozus World Review. And when I went to a distributor, they used that specific, they said, well, some of the reviews weren't top-notch. And the crazy thing is, that was for London Betty. The next 4 or 5 reviews that came out were like 4 stars, great movie. And it was this guy Ozus, who's not a bad dude, and if he found it average, then it was average. Like, it really doesn't, he's not wrong for reviewing it how he should, But that was a case where a distributor cited it as a specific example. So it does hurt distribution, and it can cost you money, especially an independent filmmaker. But someone like Jamie Kennedy their scrutiny is heavier on him because he's a millionaire and he's getting paid. He got paid $1 million for Son of the Mask, or whatever he got paid for it. I hope he got paid at least $1 million.
I hope so.
You got to take your medicine. That's the price of of fame. My problem with, you hear a lot of people, I heard like people on CNN and all these other people commenting on how, oh, people are so rude and critical nowadays. And it's like, no, man, no, it's not that. It's that most of the stars were completely isolated from the public. You know, the public didn't have a mouthpiece. And right now, about 5 or 6 media companies own almost all media. So that means if someone puts out a film through Paramount, if whatever network is aligned with them, let's say it was NBC, they're not, well, a better example, I guess, would be Universal puts out a movie. Yeah. NBC, they're less likely to bash the living shit out of a property that they're promoting because it's the same parent company. And that's just the truth. I mean, are there exceptions? Yes, but I think what's true is the internet has given a mouthpiece to the public. So when someone is like really not that great at what they do, yeah, sometimes the scrutiny's pretty heavy, you know?
Yeah, I mean, what you'll find out most of the time is that when the majority of critics, if they say a movie sucks, I mean, most of the time they're right. I mean, like if you go on Rotten Tomatoes and you look at the movies that are just rotten, you know what? The critics got it right. I mean, there's hardly a movie you'll look and be like, you know what? They truly got. I mean, that movie shouldn't have been 5%. That movie was a stellar movie.
Yeah, and the thing that pissed me off is over my 15 years, I think 8 films I put out, I got my ass handed to me, like real bad. You know, like Elvis Mitchell from New York Times was like called one of my movies Unfortunate Backwash, and it seemed like he was trying to literally snuff out my career in one fell swoop, you know? One fell swoop?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, so I mean, I've had my taste of fucking bad reviews, but it was just funny because Jamie Kennedy's acting like such a baby. And you're like, dude, you're a multi-millionaire and you got paid to do a dumb movie. So just kind of take your medicine, buddy, you know?
Yeah, just deal with it. I mean, just improve, get better, be more selective in what you choose then. I mean,
yeah.
You could have told me, I think just about anybody, like Son of a Mask. That's probably going to be shit. I mean, honestly, I mean, there's no way you could have looked at it and be like, yeah, this is going to turn out really well. This is going to be better than the original.
Yeah.
So
what was the original?
Mask
Jim
Carrey.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, there was a scene where he was getting ridiculed so bad, people were throwing everything on him, and someone threw something. You heard like a bing, and he picked up like a glass vial, and he's like, "What the fuck?" Because someone hit him in the head with it. Yeah, he was doing like a big stand-up tour, and I will say he was in there doing it, man, and people did not like him.
See, no, that's a totally different situation. Like that's putting himself up in a position that's really, I mean, like going up in front of a group and performing live in person and having to be funny and try to be funny for everybody that's in there, even though you know, like, there's a good chance 25% of them is not going to like anything you say no matter what. Like, I mean, there's a good chance of that. So that I could see, like, I've always found it really disrespectful for the crowd trying to take over performances. That's
because it's total ego, and you think that you should be up there, and it's like, I mean, they do show some of that stuff, and that's the best stuff. And the truth is, like, I really hate it when someone would watch one of my films and go, well, you were trying to be something else. You know, it was supposed to be this, and it was this. I fucking hate that, because I'm like, you don't know what it was supposed to be. So I don't want to say this film was not what it was supposed to be. I think it was a really interesting subject matter, and I just feel like there was some false equivalence, if that's the word, where you have a movie called Heckler, and it's all stand-up comedians. You're like, okay, this is going to be about, you know, stand-up heckling, and the bulk of it was about film criticism. My beef is that it's just not the same.
Yeah.
When Chud.com reviews a film and they don't like it, you know, their biggest complaints is when it was like personal. When they're like, I hope Jamie Kennedy doesn't ever make a film again, and I hope he rots in hell or whatever.
Well, yeah, that shit
that's fucked up. Yeah,
that's fucked up. But well, you know, I mean, it's subjective opinions and stuff. So of a movie. So if a person says I don't like it because of this and that, that to me is totally fine. I mean, even when I showed that trailer for the contest that you have for Mark of the Beast, like you get to hear some of the criticism, and it's tough. It's not easy to sit there, and that's on a really small, level. That's not like in a national magazine or something like that. It's tough, but to me, I think you have to like take it in. Okay, I need to improve on this, and you work on this. What that person said was totally BS. I don't believe that, and just move on to the next thing and try to get better. But things saying like, I hope you die, or I hope you never work again, or hope you go broke, or things like that. That's just.
Like I said, I apologize.
Yeah.
Dave is responsible for all of the vitriol on the internet.
But I don't know. I mean, I just think that. I mean, I just feel like, who are these celebrities kidding? Like, I think what has happened actually is that the same way like filmmaking and distribution has sort of been demystified over the years, I think celebrity has been demystified.
Yeah.
And people see the cracks in everyone's armor, and they realize that a lot of these people are just, especially the way that a lot of stars contemporary get famous is not through talent. It's through, like, they make a sex tape or they have a reality show. And of course there's going to be criticism of that because there's not any, like, superior talent. Yeah. In that sense, you look at Jamie Kennedy, he looks like fucking Sir Laurence Olivier compared to, like, Kim Kardashian or someone like that,
Yeah, and, on that note, I'd rather watch a million Jamie Kennedy movies versus a single minute of anything that Kim Kardashian is involved in.
It's just, you look at it and...
Even the sex tape.
I mean, for me, there's no big mystery. If you were like a multi-millionaire and you could afford a good publicist, you would get into it. All you have to do is do something unsavory and you're in there,
Yeah.
So it's really not that complicated. It's just you have to have really fucking deep pockets, Yeah. And a lot of that stuff, Paris Hilton, remember that reality show she had on CBS for a while?
Oh, Get a Life, or
he was like working on the farm or whatever. Like all that stuff, I think that was produced by her or produced by her parents or something. I mean, it's just all like, yeah, it's fine. Throw enough money at something, that's fine.
It's sad though that the same thing with the Kardashian making a sex tape. Paris Hilton had her sex tape, and you throw enough money at it, and these people they have. I mean, it's sad, but it has freaking worked for these people.
Absolutely, and they can spin off of that. They can. I mean, you think about like Madonna back in the day. She was doing stuff that people thought was just like ghastly, and but she's really fucking talented at what she did, and she still she didn't spin it, but just over time she did different work, and she's very respected in the pop world. I think, if you look at it that way, for what she was. And I'm saying compare this to sort of contemporary, and you look at it and you're like, these people can't even fucking sing, I mean, these people can't even do that stuff.
Well, at least Madonna, when she was introduced to us, she was introduced that she was a pop star, that she could sing.
Yeah.
And then she started doing, the some of the crazier stuff. But at least we knew beforehand, like, okay, well, she's got some talent. We'll just chalk it up to her being an artist or whatever she's doing.
Yeah, and this is also pre, voice correction and a lot of that stuff. I mean, they certainly had their tools, but they couldn't like
the auto-tune
pitch,
stuff.
auto-tune her voice and have it sound, perfect. So it's like at least, and so that you look at, what people who have risen to the surface, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I guess all that to say that the Heckler film, I would give it like three sandwiches. The funny thing is, it made me realize that I don't consider this show, I know I just gave it 3 sandwiches, but that's kind of my point. I don't really consider this a criticism show. Like, I feel like we're filmmakers and film nerds talking about films, but I would never, I don't know, I mean, I don't think of this as
I don't think we, because, it's not like we're giving really truly in-depth criticism. It's not like we're, breaking down scene by scene. I think we're just giving people just basically our opinion. Like you're talking at work and you talk about movies. It's basically that same kind of conversation. Like, yeah, I like this, I didn't like this. Let's go watch this. This is a bad movie or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it. We